This is the Norship. It was my intention today to tell you all about the Norship, or at least get started on that. The background, the lore that connects to my game, OBSCURON. And I'm having a bit of self-doubt with that. Why? Spoilers. Hi, I'm Raj Dolos, and let me explain exactly what I mean about the conundrum of spoilers for me. I generally don't worry about spoilers, to be honest. Sometimes you can spoil the surprise of something, but usually how well a story is told is conveyed in the story and the telling. And the spoilers only affect that so much. That said, yeah, anyone can be disappointed if something is spoiled, right? There are reveals and surprises, and there's mystery. And some things depend more on mystery than others. Now, how does that connect with lore, and my lore in particular? Well, I'm making a game, and for me, I think lore connects more deeply to a game than it would, say, for a movie, or a book, or a TV series. Most other content and media, lore really informs the story. Let me make that clear first, actually. Lore isn't story. Lore can be made up of stories, but mostly lore is to inform the story. It's to be the background. It's to be part of the setting. It's to make it feel like the setting is complete and full. It also can integrate with story in the way it comes up. Right? If you discover a bit of history of something in this setting, that makes a difference to the characters. So that's how it integrates, right? And in a game, the story is told by the players, especially in an RPG, right? Especially in a multiplayer RPG. I want the players to experience their own story, to have their characters live in that story, live in that environment, in that setting, and the lore, it should connect to them more. So that's why I think that in my game, if I tell too much of the lore in too much detail, it's going to be the mundane part of the story, but it's going to spoil what might be exciting otherwise. At the same time, if I really love something, I really deeply can consume so much more information. It's not the same as story, but I think the point of lore in that context is to almost make the premise and the stories yourself of what else could happen in that setting. If you really love a universe, you can imagine all sorts of things based on the lore. And that brings me to why would I tell you about my lore? And it's exactly that. Right? It's the hope that might connect to anyone. If somebody goes off with that and cooks up other ideas and other thoughts and makes other assumptions, right, about the universe that I'm making my content within, that's exciting. It lives on that way. Of course, it's kind of a little bit self-serving to tell you about my lore. And I'm going to say that said again. That said, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. What I want is just enough to pull you in, right? To reel in the audience so that you want to hear more, so that you want to experience the stories in the game. It's its own thing too, though. I mean, the Norship and the lore that I have behind it, for me, is a living, breathing thing. Okay, bringing it back to the overall big point here. I will be telling the lore. I would like to bring it to life for other people to experience, both in the game and outside of it. That's already happening to some degree, because I use the Norship as the setting for a D&D campaign that I am the dungeon master for, between myself and friends once a week. So that lets me segue into how do I tell you the lore. I'm going to be the talking head sometimes, I'm going to show art, and I'm going to relay stories from my D&D table. And I'm going to bring in some of those players occasionally to also relay their stories. Why would you want to hear their stories if you're interested in my game? Well, that D&D campaign takes place before the era that Obscuron takes place in. In a lot of ways, those stories are part of the lore that leads into the game. It's kind of a living, breathing thing, though, because those players are still playing that game. Whatever might happen in a session in that campaign might have repercussions for what's going to happen in the PC game. I like that. I like the dynamic adjustments that I'm going to have to make for that. It's going to keep me on my toes, and, well, we'll see just where the Norship goes and what happens on the Norship. It's a massive, massive starship. It is its own world in many ways, and I'm looking forward to describing just how it works and what takes place on it in future videos. Okay, I have one last thing I would like to add to the end of this video. I have a Discord server, so if you would like to talk to me about lore or the development of Obscuron, I'll be there pretty often. I'm pretty active there. I would like to build a community there for the game before and after it comes out. So that's about it. I will talk to you soon.